directly the lives of Kenyans. And so that is why we come again here, and we are here again to delve into this kind of conversation and to try also to, as we speak, we also try to come up with the way forward. And I thank God because he has given us experts also in the kingdom of God, men who love God, but they are experts in their own areas. And we are going to have a great show today. Let me ask you that even as we progress, that you engage us here. Any question or comment, take it to the live stream, the Facebook live stream or YouTube live stream. If there's a question or comment or your take on the topic of conversation today, then make sure it is there on the stream, and we will read it and we will answer it appropriately because we have the experts in the house. So karibuni sana, please invite as many people as possible. Let's educate Kenyans about things that affect their lives. And with me in studio is Pastor David Kamau Wamadhu, an expert in strategic management and a man that is well versed in his field. So, Bwana Wamadhu, karibu sana.
Thank you very much, Reverend. I'm very happy to be here.
And then on my far right is John Kabugi, and is an expert in leadership and security, and he will be answering all our questions today pertaining that area of his expertise. Karibu sana.
Asante sana.
So we get down to it, and gentlemen, I know you live in Kenya, and you know what Kenyans are saying. We know there is what the people in office are saying, but the people that are being led are also speaking out.
Correct.
And everybody is feeling it. We are feeling it when we enter into the supermarket. By the way, let me surprise you. Last Saturday, I went to visit my mother. And I think I had stayed a little bit of some time before the cost of fuels went up. So I entered into the supermarket with the same mentality. I'll pick this, I'll pick this, I'll pick this. And basically the kind of things that I usually pick, I knew they usually come around 4,500, 5,000. So I went with that assumption. So I picked all things, and it is me who went to the market, to the supermarket. And when I went to the counter to pay, I found that it was topping 8,000. And I was so surprised that it has increased this much. The cost of living, Bwana Kamau, knowing that you are an expert in that area, what is happening to our country?
Well, thank you very much, Reverend. And that is a pertinent question. It is a reality of life.
Yeah.
Actually, right now in Kenya, we have seen so many things happening.
Yeah.
And I can say that I have been, I may not look very old, but I am old. So I have been able to be in 3 governments whereby I have seen some of the threats, what has been happening. I've been in the government for Moi, I was in the government for Kibaki, government for Uhuru, and right now we are in the government of the Ruto as the leading person. And I can tell you, in all these governments, there is something that has changed, and that is exactly what you are talking about. You are talking about like when you went home, that is last Saturday, the basket size has really reduced in such a significant way. You find that you are going to the market, and the size of the basket, whatever you pick, is so small. This was not happening there before. I remember during like the time of Moi, and I'm just doing a small comparison. during the time of Moi, the basket was actually higher than what you are able to realize in when you go to the supermarket.
All right.
And it is actually a fundamental structural issues, and it is systematic in the sense that there has been so many things that have been happening in this country, and I think the leaders are actually sitting at ivory towers and not really understanding what is happening in the ground. Why is it that I am saying that? It is because today a leader, like let's say, take an example of a member of parliament.
Yes.
A member of parliament, if they are going out of Nairobi, they have fuel allowances.
Yes.
And they have so many other allowances. So you find that there is no time that they are really going to go and fuel their car. They are going to be fueled for them. So even when they talk about the prices are escalating, you find that they are not feeling that escalation just the same way a Kenyan person is going to feel it.
All right.
This is a reality, and this is where the government need to be very careful. Let me give you a very good example. I am in the marketplace.
Yes.
And there is one company I have been working with here at Mombasa Road, that at Samia Park. They had to close the doors and they had to go. And how many people were there who were employed by that company? It is 1,500 people.
And they closed doors?
They closed door 3 months ago. Now, these 1,000 people, 1,500 people who have gone home, they have some siblings, they have many people. So you can actually look at how many people have been affected, have been affected by that. And you find that these are things, the reality, that the businesses are going down, people are going home. Even we talked about creating jobs, but you find that instead of creating jobs, people are going home. Again, you find like another day there was this strike about the Matatu strike, whereby it took 2 days. And you know, people are talking about a walking nation. Walking is good when it is actually you want to do your own exercise. But it is not good when you are walking because you don't have money to take you to your workplace. And you know, these are the realities. Even the Matatu people, they try to increase the fares. But even if you increase the fare, the people don't have money
to pay the
fare. So at the end of the day, you find that the economy is at a standstill. There is really nothing that is happening. People are just surviving. Kenya right now, I can tell you, there are so many people who are not able to feed themselves, which is a very bad thing. And I would say it is an issue to do with the leadership, in the sense that the leaders themselves, they are not getting deeper and understanding the person who is down here. What is the effect? You have given us a very good example. The effect is big. You find that the amount of money you have today, you cannot be able to sustain your life in a very good way. And I think it is a bad situation when we find our leaders not caring. When we find our leaders, they can go and corrupt some few individuals so that they can make things to move for them, and they forget about the pain that the Kenyan people are undergoing.
Wow. Bwana Kabuki, I want you to briefly maybe describe the attitude of the leaders, right from the president, his cabinet, and the attitude they show towards the nation they lead. And it cannot be right simply because they are saying it from their seats where they are seated. The reality is on the ground. I don't know how you describe this attitude and what maybe needs to be done about their attitude and approach.
Let's first start with what is missing from their attitude. A leader is supposed to be a servant, especially in this context of public leadership. They're called public servants for a reason. That in itself portends servitude. You're supposed to serve. You're supposed to serve with humility. We see the opposite of that. We see leaders who have almost zero humility. We see, even as the average Kenyan is going through such, crisis really of economic hardships and high costs of living and untenable situations. You see the same leaders even when there's a crisis like we saw last week in high school, some people are still landing in choppers, posing for the cameras, displaying obscene levels of opulence. And when they talk, they don't talk with the humility that a public servant should have. They talk with arrogance, they talk with bravado, and they talk as if they're disconnected, they're aloof from what's really going on, with the regular public. That's number one. Number two, with regards to what is missing are the principles or tenets of leadership. A leader should be somebody competent. A leader should be somebody who's able to read a situation and offer solutions to crises and challenges as the ones the average Kenyan is facing. But you see them preoccupied with politics, preoccupied with the next year's election, preoccupied with really compromising the same citizens that should be evaluating their performance next week, here with some projects, here with some money, here with all kinds of for all intents and purposes, very well crafted and simulated PR exercises to demonstrate a development that hasn't been done during the entire period they've been in office. Number three, and the saddest of it all, is like I said, the failure to offer credible solutions, practical solutions, where they have the ability and capacity. And here we turn really to Parliament. We turn really to people who have the authority to craft laws, to modify laws, to create government policies. And in terms like this of crisis, really to intervene, create economic interventions that should make it easier for for average Kenyans. So you see a Parliament that pretty much is held captive by the executive, and beyond that you see members of Parliament who, whether it's senators or members of Parliament in terms of representatives of the people, who abdicate their responsibilities to the people who elected them to power, and in turn just play political games around these issues, just pussyfooting and just essentially having a lackadaisical attitude towards what the average Kenyan has to go through. When it gets to a point where the Kenyans cannot take it anymore and they exercise their democratic right to picketing, to protesting these situations and making their voices known, you see the same leaders, whether in Parliament or outside Parliament, really being compromised in how they address the issue, so that the solution is not there. So you feel for the average Kenyan, when you look at leaders that have abdicated their responsibilities, and now the average Kenyan has now the biggest challenge, which is next year, to evaluate these leaders based on their performance, to evaluate these leaders based on the job they have done, and to remain uncompromised and to remain objective in doing so, so that for the sake of the future of the country, the job interviews next year will reflect the performance of those who've been in power, and if necessary, others are brought in to be able to play a better role in leadership.
And Bwana Kabuki, why does it appear like we know there could be a lot of cabinet secretaries right now are political figures, isn't it? They may not be experts even in the ministries they are leading. True.
Yes.
Yeah. And the president is only an expert in his area, isn't it? What is this kind of attitude that they don't want to listen to anybody else? It is either their way or the highway.
That's part of the first two things I said. When a leadership lacks the attitude of servanthood, public servanthood, when a leader is arrogant, when a leader is tone deaf or switched off to the situation that the people they lead are going through, and the economic situation of the country, then that is part of the reason. The second reason, which is also equally important, is because, like you said, the technocrats, the bureaucrats, the people whose experience technically should be able to solve these issues are not being allowed to do their job.
Okay.
And when they seem like they want to do their job, there's always somebody higher above them who's, like you said, a civilian appointee. Cabinet secretaries are civilians who are supposed to bring, value to their ministries, even where they lack in the specific expertise and technical ability accountability, they should be able to subsidize with that with proper leadership and management. So we have gaps here by the kind of people that are coming into power. And again, it all rolls back to the kind of leaders we are appointing. And we should task ourselves as citizens and ask ourselves, what kind of leaders are we appointing that are incapable of solving problems, even where technocrats and bureaucrats do exist to do the job.
Of course, it's very amazing that the people, when they enter into the office, the leaders that we have currently, it's like it has to be what they think is right. And they don't care about what any other person thinks. And then you find that the results on the ground are detrimental. And the people there's a you cry across the country. And I don't think what joy leaders will have when the whole country is crying and you are saying you are taking us somewhere. It becomes very ridiculous. Bwana David, you know, we're still on that line of the attitude of our leaders. There have come up very wise ideas, economically viable ideas. Because up to today, majority of Kenyans are feeling the government can do something to make the life of Kenyans bearable.
Sure.
But when those ideas or suggestions are floated to them, you find that they don't want to listen. It is the way they see it and the way they want to do it. And for example, Ndini Nyoro came up with very good ideas. They were brought to parliament.
Correct.
But it still looks like it's a noise, and there's always something the government can do to alleviate the lives of Kenyans. So, what is this the government is supposed to do, and the government is not doing? What is this that the government should do to make the lives of Kenyans at least easier? Because there are projects we are pushing hard. But are they the priority of the lives of Kenyans? The welfare of Kenyans? I think even when we talk about Maslow's, Maslow hierarchy of needs, I think it begins from the ground going up, where the majority are, where the base is wider. And it begins with the basic needs, for life. And if they are not taken care of those basic needs, why are you talking about the high tower, the sharp end up there on the triangle on Maslow needs? So can the government listen? What are these things the government can do? And I know you are out there and you think you talk about figures and mathematics and arithmetics on how this can be swapped with these to cushion Kenyans and help Kenyans at least to live some comfortable lives. What is this the government can do?
Well, let me first of all start by saying, today I was reading from the book of Mark chapter 6.
Yes.
And it is about Jesus. When he saw the crowd, he was compassionate about them.
Yes.
He was moved. I think one of the things that really need to be there, these leaders, they need to have senses that they can be moved by the state in the country right now. So if they can be compassionate in terms of they are looking at like the way Jesus did as our role model.
And as a master teacher.
As a master teacher.
Yes.
They would actually listen more because what they are doing, they are not listening more. They are actually doing their things because they want their own way and not the Kenyans' way. Let me tell you, it is a strategy of politicians, which is a very bad, and it is irresponsible.
Yeah.
It is their strategy. They don't want the Kenyan people to improve in terms of their life. Why? It is because they want to make them impoverished for a long time so that when they do simple things, especially during the campaign time, they are voted back. And it is a very bad thing. Let's say, for example, you have said, what can they do? Look at one of the things, and that's what I keep on saying. Some of the projects that the government is doing here, they are white elephant projects.
Yes.
They are projects which you start, you stop. Yet you have invested money in those projects, but they are not returning anything.
And they will not be completed.
They will not. So that kind of,
hijab kind of reactions. You are just going there for campaign, just to show people. Like another time, the president went, and I am happy to say this even on air. It is because it is the truth.
Yes.
He went to Muranga, and what does he do? They mobilize the tractors, the lorries, and they want to go and launch a road. They start saying that we are going to develop a road. And the president is there, and he says that this is what we are going to do. Immediately he leaves that place. The tractor and the lorries, they also follow him. But you see the amount of money and the time, the energy, because one meeting for the president, it actually consumes so many millions.
Yes.
So if, for example, you go and do a show, and it is not a reality, what will happen is that we are wasting a lot of money. What I feel the government need to do, one is to understand where are Kenyans? Where are they right now? The Kenyans, there are two things that they need, and I wish this government can listen and do these two things.
Yes.
Actually, three things.
Yeah.
If the government can do these three things, they don't even need to do any other development.
Yeah.
These three things are going to be enough for the people. Number one, they need to come and think about the education model.
Yes.
How they can be able to take children to school. And this is something that has worked. You have talked about it in Nyoro. Right now, that's where I come from. And it is not a story. Children are paying 500 shillings for a term to go to school. And they are using the CDF and all these kind of things. So what we are saying, it is possible to make sure that the education for Kenyan children is actually on top. It is something that is happening in that county. And if the government can be serious, they stop all these sideshows that you are going to start a project just for the votes for tomorrow.
Yeah.
You can first of all say, what is it that is ailing the Kenyan people? And one of the things that is ailing the Kenyan people is the education. Can you look at the education? Right now, the capitation they are giving to schools.
Yeah.
The amount of money that is getting to school is so minimal. And that's why you realized, even when the president was saying everybody to go to school, they are going without uniforms. What are they going to eat? So what he needs to do is actually stop all these things. In fact, they are the things which are making the economy not to grow. Because you are putting money in the pockets of few people and not actually enabling the majority of people. So one, they need to look at how they can improve the education.
Okay.
Number two, they need to look at the medical situations for the people. You see, the whole thing about universal, yes, health, that thing, it is actually working some places, but other places it is not working. So you find that people are actually suffering in terms of their medical health and all these kind of things. So instead of doing so many sideshows, let them address the issues to do with medical, because that is something that is touching on the Kenyan people. And the third thing that I feel they need to address in terms of the cost of living, it is big and it is wide. One, Kenya is agricultural country. It is very unfortunate that you find that Kenyans are sleeping hungry. When we have the resources that God has given to us, in terms of you can be able to plant, you can be able to harvest. So in terms of that chain, in terms of planting, the farmer who plants, the who delivers, they are supposed to ensure that they feed the Kenyan people. Because if they can tackle those three things, we don't even care about the affordable housing. It is not going to help a lot of people. But if you can do those three things, then you will have a healthy country. And people will be able to produce. By the way, let me tell you, Reverend, economy is not built by few people. It is built when everybody is producing something. So if you can address education, health issues, and the food status, security for the people, I can tell you Kenya can be in a different place. And even people would be saying, at least we can see something.
All right. There's this issue, and I think it should be maybe the elephant in the room, if so to speak, the fuel, the cost of fuel. It has driven costs of living upwards. There have been there has been arguments that the fuel that we use does not pass through the Straits of Hormuz. Yes.
Yes, yes.
And so when the government says it's because of the Iranian, US-Israel war, it becomes like they are lying. So there's something they are covering.
Correct.
So I want you to, because personally, I feel like when the cost of fuel will go down, the life of Kenyans will ease a little bit.
Sure.
As much as there are other things the government needs to do to spur economic, the wheel to turn, you know, the economic wheel has to turn by the activities, economic activities that citizens do. But one factor, the fuel cost. And I want you to describe, because what the government now can do to reverse this cost.
Thank you. In fact, that is one of the major things that is actually affecting the life of the Kenyans in very big way. Why? It is because fuel drives so many things, especially diesel. You find that the production on the things that you are talking about in the supermarket, they are actually going to be produced by using the diesel. You find the transportations of goods from farms to the market. We are using the trucks and all this, and they are actually consuming diesel. So when you increase the price of the fuel, what you realize is that the cost of every other product is going to go up. Right now, I don't know even how many Kenyans can afford to eat tomatoes in their food, because the one tomato is going, I think, for 30 bob, which is quite high. So the thing is, it is actually the issue of production. Let me say one thing, and that is what Didi Nyoro has been trying to say. When we look at the formula for fuel right now, it has like 9 levy. You know, there is
diesel, liter moja ya diesel.
Yeah, let me tell you, in fact, the liter of the diesel, you realize that like the diesel, allowed when it was actually 242, 167, apart from 167, there is like 70 something, which is actually taxes alone and levies. So you find one of the things that they have been saying, and we have been saying, the VAT was reduced from 16% to 8%. But let me say, when you are in crisis, you need to help the people of Kenya to get out of their trouble. You can be able at least to say for the next 3 or 4 months, we can be able to adjust the formula, the pricing in terms of, because they have the capacity. We are saying the parliament has the authority to be able to look at the issues to do with the VAT, and they bring it down. When they bring down the VAT, you realize that there is going to be, at least the price is going down. Some of the things they are talking about, like the development levy, some of them, they are the petroleum, development levy again. The other ones are IDF. There is the import charges. There is the excise duties. There are 9 of them. When you look at them, one of the things, yesterday I looked at the acting commissioner for KRAs. He is saying the only thing they can be able to deal with is the VAT. So who are actually able to deal with the other 8 levies? It is actually the parliament itself. They can look at this cost and they say this amount of, what is making the price to go up is actually our formula, which has been a problem. They can be able to sit down and address this formula, because at the end of the day, look, they have been talking about like now 25 shillings. It is actually that has 25 shillings has been there in terms of
25 shillings on 1 liter.
On 1 liter, yes.
It's one tax.
Yes, it is one tax, which they are talking about the development. They are saying our roads, we need the 25 bob. But you know what they have done? And this is exactly what Didi Nyoro has been talking about. They have taken loan against that 25. 14 shillings already they have taken loan. So why they cannot adjust?
14 shillings out of the 25,
yes,
is going to loans.
Yes, it is like a security. They have already, when you hear about secularization, it is actually that security they are talking about. So what is happening with the government right now? It is actually doing a lot of damage in Kenya's economy, because it is borrowing from everywhere. And when you borrow and you don't put this money in good use, because sometimes we are borrowing, where? To go to Narok for campaign.
Yeah.
Right now, we are going to Orokarao for campaigns.
Yeah.
You find the kind of the wastage that is there. If only we can be able to sit down and say, for these 3 months, we are going to address the fuel alone. Because you see, for example, the people like in Tanzania, and they have been actually been saying, Tanzania and Uganda, they are actually even not advantaged like us. But you find that they are looking at their formula in a better way.
Their life is cheaper.
Yeah, and their life is cheaper. But now the problem with the Kenyans is because they, like now, I was in Eldoret. I can tell you, this last week.
Yeah.
Can I tell you, they are doing a lot of many things in terms of talking about the Mau
Summit Road.
Mau Summit Road.
Yeah.
But I can tell you, one of the things, and that is where the former deputy president said there is no contract about what they are talking about. You know what I realized? That they brought the soil, they put it on the roads, and what has happened is that the soil now has started, the grass has started to grow on that soil. So you find what is happening with the government, instead first of all on looking at what is it that we can do right now to safeguard the Kenyans people. They are continuing. In fact, like now, when they went to Mombasa, what did the president say? That we are going to adjust the price down by 10 shillings in the June-July cycle. What we are saying is that when you talk about June-July cycle, what price are you talking about? And right now, as we speak, can I tell you, there is a very serious structural issues in terms of the fuel.
Okay.
Because what they are doing is actually now taking now the averages. They are trying to change the formula now to take the averages of high and low. So if, for example, today in this cycle, the fuel has gone down, it will be affected by the cycle which was up. So the government, I don't really think, has the interest in terms of bringing the cost of fuel down. If you realized when Didi Nyoro went for that issue because he had written, did you see the opposition he got in the House? The parliamentarian, but the people in the parliament.
Including even the House leadership.
Yes, they were actually all of them gathered against him. So you can see, it is not that we cannot adjust the formula. It is that the attitude of our members of parliament and the executive is wrong. And as long as we are going to have these kind of people, and I like what John has said, there is a time that is coming next year where we are going to say these leaders, they don't listen to us. And therefore, they all need to go home, because if they are listening more, I can tell you, Reverend, these issues of fuel would be down.
Now, let me ask this, because I think we engage in a lot of conversations, even outside the studio, and meet people, and there's this concern about this government as taken money and put it in what we call a fund.
Consolidated fund.
No, funds. You know, the money is put in funds. Fund, levy fund, whatever fund, and another fund, and a fund like that. So the fund issue. And this government has really taken money from the economy, like the house, affordable housing levy, is a fund. The money is dumped there in that particular fund. And somebody was raising concern that as long as the money is in a fund, it is not in circulation. So the economy, the wheel cannot appear to be turning. Can you explain that? Because I know some Kenyans need to know it from that point of view.
Let me tell you, and it is good that we started by saying the economy cannot be grown by just few people.
Yes.
Let me say today, if, for example, the three of us here, you have 20 million, I have 2 million, and John has 30 million. If, for example, you keep your 20 million, and John keeps his 30 million, even in those funds that we are talking about, and I remove my money and I take it to the market, what will happen is that your money is not going to grow. In terms of it is not touching the sectors you know, the economic sectors.
Yes.
Because all what you have done is to lock that money. As long as money is not circulating, there is no economic thing that is going to happen. Because you see, and that is the way we have a challenge. Like some of the monies, you find that when they are locked like that, they are not helping in terms of production. That money is not helping in terms of, you know, when money circulates.
Yes.
Because there is no circulation.
Yeah.
So when money circulates, and that's where you find, like, even, for example, the matatu sector, I can talk about that.
Yes.
When you find, like, the matatu sector, every day, there is actually, like, half a billion, which is circulating. It is actually going to this person. It is, like now, for example, let's say, look at one matatu. There is a driver, there is a conductor, there is the people in the stage, and there is the bank, and there is the owner.
And they all must eat from
they must eat from there. If, for example, that people are not spending, they are not moving like the 2 days, that the matatus were actually not operating, nobody went to work. So what did it mean? There was nothing. You had money in your pocket, but it was not producing anything for you. Then you find that even these other persons, so there are so many people who actually sat at home, and there is really no economic business which was taking place. So you find because there is no circulation, the economy cannot grow at all.
And is it true that that money is in fund? What is cut from our salaries is put in a fund? Is it true that the money, or there are many funds where money is locked in those funds?
You see, it is true, because you see what we are talking about. You see, if you look at your pay slip, when you look at your pay slip, there is so much that is happening. There is the pay as you earn, which actually is money to go with the KRA. Now there is the SIF, which is actually in terms of, it is supposed to go
to the health.
Then, and you hear, now when you hear about that, even in terms of how many people are contributing, that is another question, which we will go to it maybe on another day. When you go to the affordable housing, there is the 1.5, which is going there. So you find that this money, it is like the way you find some money. It used to go to NSSF.
Yes.
And this NSSF, the problem is we may think that there is that money. But you find that the money is actually not there. It has been taken to another white elephant we were talking about. Because let me ask, for example, Leverett, we are talking about affordable housing.
Yes.
When you talk about affordable housing, I was very keen another day, this gentleman, Sawe, when he went and he came up in Kenya with a gold.
Yes.
He was promised that we will give you a house. And indeed, he was given a house. But how many people have actually occupied those houses? When I actually interrogated a little bit, I realized, and I heard from the news, actually even from the...
It is in public domain.
Public domain,
yes.
that place, it is only Sawe who is actually in that place. So what has happened? You have taken money for affordable housing, and it has sat. It is there. There is nobody who is actually using those houses. They are still struggling, others without housing. So the thing is, what we are saying is that some of the money may not be there. It might actually have been put in projects, but these projects are not generating anything.
Okay.
So we need money to circulate so that it can be able to generate and create economies.
I will come back to you, because I will want you to reflect on because we are in the budget month, to reflect a little bit on what we are expecting. I don't know whether you had a sneak peek on, on the budget that you can also tell, because there are people who are opposing that bill, and they feel like it's really going to be such a big burden on the shoulders of Kenyans. But Bwana Kabugi, are we having leadership deficiency? Because just making, I think leadership is about moving people to their desired goals. If we are not moving Kenya and Kenyans to their desired goals, the question is, even why are we leaders in the first place? And when David started to speak, he alluded to the scripture on the compassion, the leadership style of Jesus. And one of the key pillars of servant leadership style of leadership, you have compassion on the people. Why are our leaders not appearing to have any compassion, and are they really servant leaders? Do we have servant leadership in this country? What we are experiencing in this country, is it a leadership deficiency?
Yes, it is. Sadly, it's fueled by the most unlikely of factors, which is the citizen itself. The citizen is the one who's giving us these kinds and qualities of leaders. The citizen is the one who, despite all this suffering we are talking about and all these low standards that leadership and management has deteriorated to, they're still able to receive this performance that comes 12 months before an election. They're still able, I mean, the first criteria for you to even be qualified as a voter or one holding an ID, which means a citizen of this country who is registered to vote, you must be of sound mind. So how can you be of sound mind, experience such, lackadaisical attitudes, lack of servant leadership, all the economic problems we've described, which are normal to countries until they reach a crisis level like this, which is when it calls for true leadership. So the only rational explanation is the citizen has a problem, and the citizen has a problem of threefold, challenges from where I sit. The first one is the citizen is equally as compromised as the leadership itself. That's why they keep recycling the same brand of leaders, know. Number two, the citizen has lowered their standards to match those exhibited by the leaders. The leaders are truly a reflection of the people. And number three, despite all this hardship, the citizens have refused to actually change the brand of leadership or lift that standard so that what is going on is no longer acceptable. Now, coming to the leaders themselves, there are really three types of leaders. The first one is a category called leadership, somebody who's a leader. Like the word suggests, they should lead, they should show the way forward. One key tenet of leadership is vision, the capacity to see ahead, both from an economic as well as a strategic point of view. We lack those, and majority of who we call leaders today are not leaders at all. The second category is managers. Managers are people who manage a system like the name suggests. When the system is broken as it is here in Kenya, when the results are as ridiculous as they are, when everything is not working like it should, even managers cannot save because they are managing a broken system. Majority of those we call leaders perhaps may slip through that gauge or door of being managers, but again, they're managing a broken system, which really calls for leadership. The third category is perceived leadership, people who we call leaders, but they're not leaders, they're not managers, they're just people who are elected there, which has become the Kenyan style, because this person has money, somehow accumulated through questionable means, because this person has charisma of the kind that has managed to blind people to the realities of the poor leadership they are providing, especially in crisis times like this. And because the Kenyan citizen has come to, ascribe a certain role to politics, where it's its own economy. We are seeing so much, obscene amounts of money really being spent just on politics. Everybody has now come almost to, to believe that, just by going into politics, it's a very lucrative way to make a living. And that's why you see so many people, a very disproportionate number compared to what really leadership should call for, trying to get into elective positions and going to any means to do that. So at the end of the day, we are lacking solutions to problems that face Kenyans because we lack proper leaders, and we lack proper leaders because the citizens are not doing their job responsibly. And until the day the citizens start doing their job responsibly, so that this leadership management, executive management of the country, these interviews, job interviews that they'll be holding next year, let people hold them with a level of seriousness that remembers crises like this that we are in, which largely seem to be, if not man-made, they should have man-driven solutions, but the leaders that we have in place are not offering solutions. If anything, they're making it worse by the kind of way they're leading this country.
And that you are saying that the leaders that we have is a production of the citizens themselves.
And a reflection.
And a reflection of
yes,
it.
Yes.
And they are the ones that have given us these kind of leaders.
Correct.
But as much as they are aware, because you are talking in a way that it describes that Kenyans are aware that they are in problems.
Yes.
But they appear not to be able to do what they are supposed to do to change the situation. Is there a desperation in the lives of Kenyans, or it is compromise in the lives of Kenyans? And I'll give you an example. There came this man, I don't know, I can't remember his name, but I remember the statement with all due respect. The man appeared, he's called Kennedy, and he appeared to have a point, but his compromise came so fast. He looked like he could easily be silenced. He had a point, but he could not stand up for his point, and yet to give way, maybe take something, be compromised. I heard a lot of stories. I don't know whether you've also heard those stories. So that now, even when the main negotiation came, it's like the man did not feature even anywhere, because he had already been given whatever he could have been given, and he had left. There was no need for him to negotiate again. Is this the general mood of the population in this country? In the population of this country?
Firstly, we cannot excuse it away by saying that it's a desperation. There is no amount of desperation that should lead somebody to essentially do what is called, there's a saying that insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. We've gone through sufficient cycles of electing poor leaders and bad leadership decisions that have led us to where we are. Remember, before this was a crisis, there were all kinds of symptoms over the longest term that showed we are headed in the wrong direction. So because the Kenyan has refused to really wake up to their responsibilities, that's where the problem is. For example, it is important to remember that Kenyans have been primarily electing based on tribe. Okay, so the whole tribal politics equation is always based on tribe. Mount Kenya this, Western this, Nyanza this, Coast Region that, and even political alliances, political formations, political parties today reflect the same thing. And the elections and campaigns already reflect that level of tribalism. And until and unless the Kenyans get to a point where they realize that's a moot and the wrong and unproductive way of electing leaders, we really should be issue-based, which means you elect leaders based on their merits. If they've been there before, elect them based on the work they did. If they are new leaders, give them an evaluation that you'd give anybody else seeking a job, and then give them a chance to show themselves. We are failing in that regard, and frankly, there is no excuse for that, because we've seen this movie before, and it seems to be the same old thing. So until the Kenyan is able to wake up and say, no, this pain is too much, it clearly is a leadership problem, and we have to solve this leadership problem by electing the right kind of leaders. And it starts with being issue-based and looking at leaders through their CV. Most of the people who are standing up for election have been leaders before. We are recycling the same old politicians. But the criteria is there, the report card is there, their record is known. Why aren't the citizens producing better leaders than we have?
Look at that camera. Look at that camera, and tell the Kenyan what they need to do to change if they want their country to be better, their economy to be better, the downward trends to be turned around. If they want to see that, can you tell them? Because we are 1 year to elections.
It's very simple. Treat the job interview for leadership, whether somebody's gunning to be a president, gunning to be a deputy president, gunning to be a cabinet secretary after the presidency is chosen, gunning to be a governor, a senator, an MP, a member of the county assembly, irrespective of what role it is. Treat it like any other job interview that you yourself as a citizen may be subjected to. Is the person qualified? Yes or no? Does the person have the competence, the abilities to the hard technical skills, the soft skills, the people skills to be able to deliver on the job? Do they have a track record? Is it visible? What does it say? use objective criteria. This idea of our person, Mtuwetu, this idea of my tribe, my area, my region, my county, my people, my village comes from the same. It doesn't count anymore, because your village, your county, your people are not benefiting when this crisis we are describing are happening, and the same leaders you elect are not able to offer solutions. So we must be serious about doing this job. And if you don't do it properly, then keep quiet, and for the next 5 years, take the same pain until the day you actually wake up and realize this is not working, and this will not work anymore. The day the citizens draw a line and say enough is enough, we need a better crop of leadership, we need a better way to govern this country, and leadership qualities above all should reflect the job that people are applying for. And the day that the citizens appreciate and acknowledge the failure they are giving this country of poor leadership, and move from that and appraise people properly for these jobs and give us the right hires for these positions, it's only that day that Kenya will change. In the meanwhile, we'll keep doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results, and we may be branded insane for doing that.
All right, thank you. Yeah, because definitely what you are saying makes all the sense, makes a lot of sense, because we don't seem as Kenyans, and I believe you're listening to me, we don't seem to have come to that place where we are able to choose a man because of the integrity we know he has in his life. We are, if you are electing somebody that was convicted of corruption, what do you expect him when he comes to the office? What do you expect him to do? If you're electing somebody that has shown signs of cruelty, has committed murders, and is a goon, when he comes to office, what do you expect him to do? And so it is up to us, and I feel like Kenyans, we must grow and come to that place where we can elect a man, not because of the amount of money he commands, but because of the kind of leadership he will extend to our country. Well, we have a lot of issues that we have to cover, and there is the Ebola thing that is ahead of us. But David, come on, please. Give us some a sneak peek into the budget, and why some people already are saying this is not the bill for this country to make it better.
Thank you, Reverend. Now, one, the budget, and I think we need to understand the process of budgeting.
Yes.
Budget has income and it has expenditure.
Okay.
Now,
that's one a simple T account.
Yeah, it is a simple thing. Yeah, and it is actually like the budget that you do even for your home.
Yes.
You actually look at the revenues, the income you have, and then you are able at least to see what you are going to budget on.
Yes.
Now, in Kenya, there is one thing that if we look at the budget, it keeps on increasing every other year.
Yes.
Like now, as we speak, the other time we talked about 4.6 trillion. Right now, we are talking about 4.8 trillion. But one of the
don't feel the impact of the increase.
Yeah, in fact, the thing is, it has become a budget whereby you just place figures, but really in terms of the strategy of making sure that you get that revenue, and also the bottom line is improving. Because let me say, it is not the volume, it is actually the efficiency. In terms of the budgets, we look at the efficiency more than the volume. But now the problem with Kenya is that we are looking at the volume and ignoring the efficiency. Why am I saying that? And that's why I will come to the bill.
Yes.
So I want just first of all to give so that at least I come to the bill. So one of the things that you realize is that one, the 4.8 trillion that we are talking about, we have already budgeted for a shortfall. So already, even after doing all the corrections that we are going to do, we still have...
increase the budget,
yes,
and still we increase the shortfall.
Yes, it is actually almost a 1 trillion shortfall. You are talking about, you don't know how...
So why?
That is why I'm saying there is a problem in terms of our budgeting process.
Okay.
It is whereby you are keeping on increasing, yet you are saying we'll have a shortfall, so we will borrow externally. this amount,
okay,
and we'll also borrow locally this amount. And that's where, again, you are finding the cost of living for Kenyan people is high, because we are competing with Kenya with our mainstream banks. You find the bank, it is now me as a citizen and the country. All of us, we are going to the bank and saying we want to borrow. So what happens is that right now, as we speak about this 4.8 trillion, around 1.3 trillion is actually going to pay interest on the loans which we have taken.
Yeah.
Then we come to over $1 billion. Again, almost 1.2 or so, it is actually the salaries. So it has taken us to around 2.5 trillion, as in terms of this is what we call the fixed costs.
Yeah.
Now what happens is KRA, like last year, the year that is now coming to an end, the only amount that they were able to correct is around 2.5 trillion. If it gaps very well, they will go to 2.6 trillion.
This ending year?
Yeah, this ending year. So what is it that it is telling you? That what KRA is doing is actually correcting money only for paying the interest on the loans that we have taken. Right now, we are on 13 trillion. And do you know the economy, the GDP of Kenya is what? Is 17 trillion. So you are finding that we are over 70%, in terms of debt ratio. We are actually operating over 70%. When a good country, and there is actually research which has been done by somebody called Moody. Moody is actually recognized worldwide. And he has actually said, when you start going beyond 60%, you are actually, or your GDP, it is a big problem. So what we are finding is, we are continuing to borrow with our budgets, and we find that whatever we are paying, even when KRA is doing whatever it is doing, it is only able to raise a very, not even, it's like around 60%. So what happens to 40%? That's why they are bringing now the finance bill. The finance bill which they are doing now, this one people are rejecting.
Yes.
Do you know how much money this finance bill, even if it was passed today, is going to generate to the Kenyan economy? It is going to generate around 107 billion. So there is still a very big shortfall that is going to be there. But what effect have you done on the Kenyan people? Let me give you some few things why people are actually saying we reject the bill. Number one, it is because we are giving now the KRA, we are giving them the authority to come to this church and actually check even in terms of your data transactions. There is where we say that you have your data needs to be protected. The data protection. They want to remove the data protection
in this bill.
In this bill, in the sense that they can come even to your transactions. Like now, we have a bill in the church. Do you know actually that bill, the KRA, because it is connected. In fact, some of the people have started to receive some SMS telling you them, prepare, this is your revenue. And they are going to do a self-calculation. They'll just take and tell you, you have this revenue that came this year, you need to pay us the tax. So what are they doing? Some of the money which is even coming to the bill, or even to your M-Pesa now, some of the money you have already been taxed, because you are paid a salary, and you paid pay as you earn, then you withdraw it from the bank to your M-Pesa, and you start paying the transaction.
And you've already paid tax for
it. You've already paid the tax.
So you're being double taxed.
Correct. So you are actually going in. Now what will they KRA do? And that's why you are finding people are actually not accepting this. They will assess from a computer. They say, Reverend Felix Kavoi, when we look at his transactions, he has made 5 million. And these 5 million, they will tell you, you have made an income for 5 million, and they do their own calculation that this is the tax that you need to pay.
And they will pin it on you.
Yes. So now what happens, it is now you to start going to KRA to start proving to them, yes, that this one I had already paid. You see the processes that they are doing. They are actually going to do double things.
It
yes.
on you, and then it's you
Correct.
to go and clear with them.
How many Kenyans are going to be able to access and even go and sit with the KRA people to prove these points? So you find that is one of the things that is bringing a problem. Number two, there is something which is happening. And that is one of the things, even when you keep on hearing about it, like the lad, you have a piece of land there where you come from, where you had gone to see mom. Now they are saying that they are going to put land into one, the agricultural, there is going to be idle land, even the plot that you have bought. And what they are talking about is that a plot that has not been developed, what will happen is a valuer will come, do a valuation of your plot, and they find it is 3 million. What they will tell you at the end of the year, you have a plot which is worth 3 million, they will calculate 10%.
And tell you to pay tax.
10% of that value of 3 million, 300,000, you are supposed to return it to pay as a tax. And now what will happen, within some few years, you will realize that you cannot continue having this kind of plot because it is draining you. It is not giving you any money. So you find that some of these things are actually going to be a very big thing. Then another issue, which is also has been raised a lot.
Yes.
And in fact, you'll hear them say there is nothing like that, but let them go and read. It is actually in the bill. And you'll find that they want to change some of the lads, like your lad, here where you come from. It was a freehold. They want to change it to leasehold. What does that mean?
Pay rates.
You are actually going to pay rates. So if you don't pay rates for that land after some time, in fact not even paying, you see at the end of the day, you'll be given, your land was actually for your children, generations after generations.
Yes.
It gets to a point 99 years are over. Now the government has the authority to say, this land, now it is not your land. It is either you apply for the land to become yours again, or it can happen, you know, some of the people, if they have interest, they can actually bring some issues in terms of they are not going to renew. What happens is that people are going to lose some of the things that they used to own, the properties they used to own. So there is a lot that is happening. The issues of phone, they have tried to explain it, but there are so many things that...
It was exposed just recently by Al Jazeera.
Yes.
That a lot of Kenyans' information, privacy and phones are being tracked.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
So they are trying now to, and that is one of the major things, is actually if they implement some of the things that they are talking about in this finance bill, what we'll realize is that they are going to tire the Kenyan people in such a big way. You'll be receiving SMSs everywhere from the KRA. So are you going to work to produce, or are you going to be dealing with KRA all each and every particular time? Why is it that they cannot be able to look at the whole issue and look, you know, some of the things that they are talking about? In fact, like now they are talking, okay, there are some few things which they are saying they will do which are positive, like what they are saying, increasing 24,000 to 30,000, so that if you are earning below 30, there is no tax. So some of these things, they are there. You know, the problem is some of the other issues which are there is that they are changing some products from what we call zero-rated to exempt. So now that is a bad thing, and I can tell you why. When you are actually a product that you are selling is zero-rated, you can be able to claim input VAT, all the purchases that you buy, and they have VAT, you can be able to input them in your calculation, and you say, I have sold this, but I am also able, I have also bought this and they have a VAT. So you can be able to remove the VAT. So you'll find that in terms of your position, it is going to be better. When they change things, from VAT zero rated, they take them to exempt. You know what they are telling you? Anything that you buy with VAT is your cost. You cannot claim that cost in the KRA.
And it is in the bill.
It is, you are paying the VAT, you yourself, you are paying the VAT, but you cannot benefit if somebody gives you an invoice with the VAT. So what happens is that the product starts getting expensive. So the Kenyan people are actually seeing that our life is even going to get worse.
Harder.
Because when they exempt things, what will happen is that the cost of those things, the products, is going to go high. So there are several things that they are doing which are actually hitting on Kenyans so hard. And therefore, it is very important for people, and I have seen they are doing the public participation, but the only challenge that I have with the Kenyan system is that do they listen? Do they actually do the public participation? It is only for ticking the box.
Yeah.
But I wish they can listen and try to hear what Kenyans people are saying.
Wow.
Because those are some of the issues that we are having. In fact, let me tell you, what they are looking for with this bill, it is money they can get with a click of a button. Where is it? They can actually make sure that their system are corrupt-free. Let me tell you, as I conclude.
Yes.
Yesterday, I know you watched the news.
Yes.
The Nairobi County, there is one guy who had kept in his house, how many millions? 55 million cash,
yes.
Kenya shillings, and 114 million in terms of the foreign money, the US dollars. That is 65, 67 million.
Million in the house.
In the house. And you know that is proceed. Actually, it is they were being followed. I can tell you that is a proceed from corruption.
Yeah.
That is one man. Can you imagine how many corrupt deals are in this country? And I want to look at that camera.
Offices.
Let me tell you, I want to look at that camera.
Yeah.
And I speak especially to the county of Nairobi.
Yes.
County of Nairobi is actually a spoiled. It is stinking with corruption. And it is the high time that the corruption, the people in the leadership of the county of Nairobi, it is the high time they do things right. Otherwise, there is a lot of corruption. Nothing you can be able to get from the county of Nairobi without paying money. And if people want to be charged, I can prove that this is what is happening. And I can say the government is doing the wrong things. Instead of doing small things of 107 billion, let them go down to the counties, let them bring order into the counties. When Uhuru was talking about 2 billion getting lost every day, the word of a president is not a simple thing. It is telling you there is a lot of corruption.
A lot of
and
money
right now,
wastage.
the corruption is even higher. So these monies that they are looking for, let them stop disturbing the Kenyan people. Let them stop corruption. And when they stop corruption, these monies they are looking for, it is able to go back and create the economy.
Very, very, very sorry state. And of course, we need to pray for our country. Very, very sorry state. And for us Kenyans, the only thing we can do is to free ourselves. Vote out the leaders who are not making your life better. Vote them out, yes, and put in leadership that can bring progress to your life. That is how you can free yourself. When Uhuru Kenyatta was in office, I think the cry was on the debt is going beyond 50%. There was a lot of concern from all of us.
Yes.
Now we are way beyond that 50% of the GDP. We are now, you say it's 70.
Over 70.
So we are almost being swallowed. We are actually, what you are talking about is like we are being swallowed by debt.
Correct.
Up to the chest.
Sure.
We are remaining only 30% and everything will be under. and we really need to pray for this country. And the leaders, you are leaders, and leadership comes from God. Do the right thing. If you want, you will do the right thing to spur the growth and the economy of this country. But unfortunately, we are too selfish, and the question is, all the time is, how much is enough? How much is enough? Okay, how much can you steal until it is enough? Okay, God needs to help us, but we have transition because we are running out of time. We have less than 10 minutes, by the way. And we wanted to mention just briefly on the Ebola issue. And I want you, Bwana Kabugi, to come here, describe the situation to us, because I believe there are people who are just hearing Ebola imeletwa, but they don't have grips with the real information and the true situation on the ground. So please come up, just describe the whole issue, and then you can give your opinion on it.
Okay. Well, the situation is that there is presently a concern about Ebola. Ebola is a virus. As usually goes with all other viruses, viruses are incurable. So unless your body can fight it off and kill it, then it will fight you and kill your body. So the strain we are discussing right now, it's known as the Bundibugyo strain. It is named after the place from which it emanated, which is a province in the DRC, the Democratic Republic of Congo. And, you know, the province is called Ituri.
Ituri, yeah.
Yes. So it has since spread to not just within the borders of the DRC, but has crossed over the border to Uganda through the capital city, Kampala. Kenya has about exactly 26 points of entry, which are border points of entry, whether you come by flight, whether you're traveling by road. There are 26 designated points of entry. These ones usually turn into border screening points for anybody entering, especially from those high-risk areas that have been identified. So far, all the cases of that Bundibugyo virus, and it's good to you know, demarcate or disambiguate between the previous Ebola virus, which was known as the Zaire strain, and this new one that is known as the Bundibugyo strain. The Bundibugyo strain has a mortality rate of 30 to 50%, which means 30 to 50% of people who get affected with it will usually die.
Out of 100?
Yes,
30 out of 100.
To 50 out of 100. So a third to a fifth of all people who get infected will die. The Zaire strain had a higher you know, fatality rate. It had a 60 to 65% fatality rate. So Kenya, in all those 26 points of entry, has been able to screen approximately 77,000 travelers. And even where there were some suspected cases based on symptoms, this disease has common symptoms. Basically, it has three stages, which I'll describe. But in the first stage, which is the dry stage, it resembles most of your common illnesses. The symptoms are the same: high fever, you know, headache, muscle aches, joint aches, you know, such like common symptoms of disease. So the cases that have been so far suspected cases have tested negative. This particular strain, because of the same reason I've given.
So up to there, you can assure Kenyans that, according to the best of your understanding,
there's no
Ebola in this country.
Yes, there's no known case that has been tested
the
positive.
Kenyans are wondering, how did we find ourselves in such a hot conversation about Ebola? As much as that awareness and sensitivity has to be there, why are we drawn so much into a place that now we are talking about quarantines in this country? Yeah.
Well, there have been, so I was saying that based on that first criteria, which I said is common to most other diseases, you know, they usually have that basic surveillance, and then they isolate the cases until it's tested. So the only way to positively identify this is an Ebola boogie or strain case is by what is called PCR testing. Now, like I said, it comes in 3 stages. There's the dry phase, which is the symptoms that I described normal to most viral attacks or viral illnesses. Second is called the wet stage, where now somebody has, diarrhea, somebody has vomiting, somebody has, a lot of mucal, symptoms that are associated with your typical virus. And then they also have, a lot of what is, generally perceived as, a higher, incidence of those, which means the fevers will be much higher, the frequency of the vomiting will be much bigger, the diarrhea will be very, very progressive, and somebody will lose their fluids. The final stage is called the hemorrhagic stage, which is where you have internal and external bleeding, and most people past that stage, the more time lapses, the likelihood of mortality increases. So to answer your direct question, the reason there has been much discussion is that there was a facility that was opened in the Laikipia Air Base. It's meant to be an isolation, bio-isolation facility for cases coming in from those countries of persons who are US citizens, instead of being transported to the US or to primary medical facilities that are built to handle these kinds of cases in Europe. They are being quarantined here before a decision is made as to where they should be. So that's where the initial conversation started, when it turned out that the Kenyan government had come to an agreement with the US government to establish that facility. Now there are 25 counties out of the 47 counties that have been demarcated or designated as high-risk areas. Most of the, the capital city, Nairobi, of course, and then most of the bigger towns fall into that criteria. So there's a lot of disease surveillance, both at those border entry points, as well as within those counties, and there are also quarantine and isolation facilities. The question is about such policies of the kind that would create unnecessary exposure to Kenyan citizens. If it is deemed that these patients were not fit to travel to their countries of citizenship or countries of origin, then why should that risk be passed on to the Kenyan citizen? And those are questions that are very valid, because it becomes a biosafety, biosecurity kind of question.
Okay. The issue at hand here is the medical procedure, the medical procedural standards is that if somebody is infected with this infectious disease, you don't transport them. You treat them at the place where they are, because transporting them is exposure, or you are transporting the disease in simple terms.
Yes.
So that is one of the issues. Knowing that there is no known case of Ebola in Kenya, why should the quarantine be here? Why do you transport it from where people are infected to where people are not infected?
Sure.
What informs the government to do that?
So that's the first stage. It was said that the US government has, reported that the Kenyan government allowed or accepted that to be the case. But the first point is it should not be the case. Once such diseases are suspected, the person should be isolated where they are, put into quarantine, tested for the disease, and then after that the necessary health measures should be taken into effect to help save that patient or treat them as much as that disease can be managed. So the first issue, of course, is that transportation.
And
the second one is
the other issue is Mark Rubio.
Yes. He's the Secretary of State in the US. His name is Marco Rubio.
Yes. Saying that they will not allow Ebola into the US.
So,
now they will allow Ebola in Kenya.
Yes. So that's the second question. So the first one I said was transporting somebody who should be isolated where they have been found, transporting them to Kenya. The second question is, if they are not allowed to enter the borders of the United States as a sovereign country, exercising its right to manage its biosafety and biosecurity, why should they be allowed to enter Kenya as another sovereign country, and why is this sovereign country giving that kind of permission? Whatever the deal involves, there was discussion about the money that had been requested and issued or given for the sake of that facility and this whole exercise. But the bottom line should be, why should we lower the standards for biosecurity and biosafety of Kenyans by accepting people we know are already infected with the virus or are suspected, quarantining them here? Why are we transporting them to Kenya first instead of taking them to the country where they should be taken, or treating them where they are found to have?
The simple question is, what has happened to our president and the Minister of Health and the people that support the government, the current regime that is in office? What has happened to them that they cannot see the sense, the common sense that everybody is seeing?
It's the same issues that we're describing here, the issues of greed, the issues of corruption, the issue of becoming a beggar country and a beggar economy where we are always seeking funds wherever they may come from, irrespective of the risks and what it portends for the Kenyan citizen who has to absorb those risks. It leads to the same leadership questions we were asking before. Why are people willing to compromise the health and safety of Kenyans at the behest of other countries, and where it involves accepting sums of money? So it's all part of the chain of corruption. I mean, one wouldn't need to be a medical genius or any sort of, unusually gifted person to see that once those cases come into the country, that facility in Laikipia, at Laikipia Air Base, is not built for that. The only kind of facility that can contain a virus so that it cannot spread outside, there's a rating that's called biosafety level 4. Biosafety level 4, you find those kinds of facilities across the world. There are some in the United States, in Canada, and different places. And that is not that kind of facility. So the chances of that disease spreading once a case has been identified and is locally on the ground, this disease spreads really quickly. So the answer to your question is, we have the same problem where leaders are willing to lower the standard, and the simple, extrapolation.
So because
from
of
that
money,
is
you risk
why are the Kenyan citizens willing to accept that kind of behavior, that kind of policy, because it is a departure from what Kenya, Kenya policy with regards to biosafety, with regards to health standards, public health, with regards to foreign policy. This seems to depart from that. So we've come to a place in Kenya where people can just buy, for whatever price, lowest bidder, and as long as there's a politician, somebody willing to accept that price, people have become, their lives are at risk. Remember, the basic needs of a society are those we learned in school: food, shelter, clothing, health, an economically healthy system, education, the basics. Now we are seeing that each of those sectors is being compromised again because we as citizens are electing poor leadership, and that poor leadership is a reflection of us until we change that status quo.
Okay, just before I let you go, because I know now we are winding, we are completely out of time, but Kamau, you will answer one question. But before I let you go, as far as you know, there is a court order in place. Court has stopped the construction of the quarantine facility in Laikipia.
Yes.
To the best of your knowledge, has the court order been adhered to?
See,
has the construction stopped?
There are two issues here. One, the first one is that this is being done under military basics, which means it is in an air base. That air base is a joint air base where there is a joint presence of Kenyan forces as well as American forces, and it's been executed at that level. So to my knowledge so far, that court order, the government has not clearly responded by saying we've stopped construction of that. Neither has there been any tangible change both on the US government side as well as the Kenyan government side. That said, a case of Ebola, once there's what is called an incubation period, once somebody is exposed, it takes 2 to 20 days for incubation, and that's when they can spread it around. So the point is, there needs to be immediate and urgent action before that period expires, and the Kenya government and the other governments involved need to speak clearly as to their position vis-a-vis that court order, because after those court orders are not followed, which court order is acting in the interest of public health, then that's when all kinds of chaos starts to emanate, both on the side of the risk of contracting the disease, as well as how the citizenry will respond once this gets out of hand.
All right. Kamau Amadou, it looks like the government is completely determined to do it, whether court orders it or any. Okay. How do you describe the situation? Is there any place where the president or the minister of health is allowed to act ultra vires and beyond any law to do and achieve goals? And who is he achieving goals for? If the people themselves who he wants to shield, they are saying, no, you are endangering us.
One, I would say that there is no one who is above the law. It is only that the president...
Did you see the minister of health?
Yeah.
On Citizen TV.
Yes.
And the attitude he had.
Yes.
That don't care attitude.
Yes.
It will go on. There's nobody to stop it. The work is continuing. No worry about the court orders. Did you see that? And what did you call that?
It is actually, let me say, that this government is full of arrogance. And they don't care at all. I can tell you, our president was in South Africa. What he is talking is not what the president of South Africa is talking about, because they care about their citizen. I can say only one word. Our president has lost the trust of the people. He does not care about the Kenyan citizen. He is caring about popularity. He is caring about what he is able to get from what he is doing. But he does not care about the concerns of the Kenyan people. The arrogance I see in this government, I have never seen such kind of arrogance anywhere else. It is a government which, even when people are dying, our president stood, and it is again in the public knowledge, he stood when the Gen Z, they were actually demonstrating, and he stood and he said, shoot them. Let them go to the hospital and go to court. That is not a statement from a president. And I would say our president really needs to rethink. Because what he has done, his attitude, arrogance, is making his people also to be very arrogant. Look at the people like Sudi. How do they talk? Look at people the way they are talking, Cheliot. How do they talk? It is because we are lacking accountability on the leadership issue. It is because instead of leading the people, we are leading our own stomachs. And I can tell you, God is going to expose some of these leaders in a very bad way. It will get to a point whereby they will be humbled to understand what is happening with Kenya, because God does not really look at people with an eye of favor and compassion when they are mistreating the vulnerable. This government need to get back to the crossroad. It start looking at what went wrong, and I can tell you the issue that is killing the Kenyan people is one word: systematic corruption. Let's deal with this systematic corruption. And let's care about the Kenyan people, because you don't have to do things for yourself. Do it for the Kenya. Kenya is bigger than the presidency. Kenya is bigger than any of us. Let's make sure that all the Kenyan people are involved. They are put in the table. When the cake is being cut, they are also partakers. But the cake cannot be for few.
Thank you, gentlemen. We have run out of time. We can only come to a stop at that point. Of course, it's like we adopt a wait and see kind of posture, because what is being said by experts is not making sense, whether it is on the platform of economy. When the economists speak, nobody pays attention. When the well-known common sense procedures of how to contain a disease is being said, they are not being listened to, those experts. It's just a matter of we pray to God, and only God will have mercy on this country, But definitely we are 1 year to elections, and Kenyans, we urge you, this is time for you to be yourself, not the money you are given. I know there's going to be a lot of money in the movement, but don't take money and sell your soul and sell the souls of your children. There's no need to do that. We need a Kenya where everybody is prospering, money in the pocket, well-paying jobs, economy making money, and that is what we pray for, and that is what every citizen wants to see. But we will continue talking about all these issues, and I think this coming Friday we will delve very much on how we should identify leaders that can bring transformation in our country. But meanwhile, we pray, and meanwhile, we take votes, and meanwhile, we make sure everything is in place, and meanwhile, you prepare your heart not to be compromised by the 1,000 that will be given to you, by the 10,000 that will be given to you, and more so, servants of God, don't eat that money. Don't eat that money. That money is not for eating. Servants of God, let's be the light. God is our provider, and God will bless our ministries. And to everybody that has watched today, God bless you and give you peace. From all of us here, it's bye-bye, and see you next Friday. Thank you very much, and bye-bye.